Herzlich willkommen in Sakate, Freunde, einem kleinen Fischerdorf auf der Insel Shodoshima in der Inlandsee Japans. Hier habe ich 5,5 Monate gelebt und hatte die Chance, eine, wie ich finde, sehr interessante Japanerin kennenzulernen, die gute Mitsuyo. Mitsuyo kommt heute von Takamatsu hier extra auf die Insel gefahren für ein Interview, denn ja, ich will mal gucken, ob wir nicht aus Mitsuyo ein paar interessante Informationen rausbekommen über ihr Leben vor allen Dingen in Japan und über diese Insel hier. Dazu bringe ich Mitsuyo an einen ganz besonderen Ort, der mir sehr am Herzen liegt, der wie gemacht ist für ein Interview. Deswegen würde ich sagen, wir warten jetzt auf Mitsuyo. Ich zeige euch mal ein bisschen hier den Hafen von Sakate. Los geht's, Freunde, bleibt dran. Ciao.
Dieses kleine Fischerdorf namens Sakate ist für mich eine sichere Heimat in Japan. Über fast ein halbes Jahr habe ich hier mit den Menschen in und um diesem Dorf zu tun gehabt und mich mit ihnen verbunden. Die Bewohner dieser Insel sind wirklich ein besonderes Völkchen und stolz auf ihre Heimat, was ich zu 100% nachvollziehen kann. Nicht nur das Dorf Sakate, sondern die Insel Shodoshima an sich ist voll mit Geschichte, Mythen, Geheimnissen und einer atemberaubenden Natur. Schreibt mir mal in die Kommentare, ob ihr schon mal in Shodoshima wart oder sogar an Sakate. Abonniert gerne den Kanal, wenn ihr mehr von meinen Aktionen und meinen Reisen sehen wollt. Das wäre eine große Hilfe. Danke!
I'm gonna go here. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. There's a butterfly. Everything works.
Just set just perfectly for you.
Yeah, I mean this place is really nice. I really like it. It's so calm. And if you have any trouble, like if you're not comfortable or you think too much, you can just come here, just relax and really find peace. Like, yeah, this place just calms me down. And it's literally paradise since there's so many fruit trees, farms. You have this insane wild fig tree. There's like, I don't know, 20 kilograms of figs if this is ready.
Oh, wow.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Sumimasen.
So nice to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You came, you had time to come here to Shodoshima from Takamatsu. You came by ferry. You went to Ikeda, you said, right?
Yes, I arrived at the Ikeda port. Yeah.
And then by car.
Yes, by car.
How long does it take from Ikeda?
From Ikeda port coming here, the Sakate area, it's about 20 minutes, 20-minute drive.
Oh, that's nothing.
It's all right. It's a small island after all.
Yeah.
So.
We came by bus. It took from Ikeda it took 40 minutes or something. But it's a nice ride actually. Like it goes the coastline kind of.
Yeah.
And then you see all the typical stuff like Olive Park and whatever.
True.
It's almost like a tourist bus kind of.
Yeah, you get to see everything that you're supposed to cover as a tourist. Sure. Yeah.
Really cool. I enjoyed the ride actually.
Cool.
It was not too bad. Yeah, how are you?
All right,
great?
I'm good.
That's
good.
Cool.
And you?
Yeah, I'm really fine. Really fine. Always good to hear someone is good, right?
Yeah, always. We need that.
The neighborhood.
Yeah.
Very active today. I mean, usually no people here. That's so cool. Yeah, first question. Let's jump into it.
Sure.
Who are you and what are you doing?
All right. My name is Mitsuyo Morikawa. I go by Mitsu. From Japan, but originally from Osaka. But my family is from Shodoshima originally, and that's how I end up being here in the area.
Okay. What's your connection to the island? You said your parents are originally from here, so is that your connection?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, to be precise, it's my father, and my father's family is all from Shodoshima, from the west coast of Shodoshima. They're from, and my father was born here, and then he actually was born in Taiwan because it was during the war. Yeah. But his father, my grandfather, was there as a policeman, and then when the war is over, and then they all came back to Shodoshima.
Yeah. You can also go deeper on these facts if you want to.
Okay.
It kind of belongs to the question, and it might be pretty interesting for the people. So feel free to go into that history thing you mentioned when we had a phone call. Also, really interesting that there's still people that are born on this island and have a connection to this island. Recently, I met some people having a really strong connection to this island. And there's a guy I want to introduce to you a little later after the interview. So I'm always happy to meet people that have kind of a connection to people that are born here or are born here on their own. That's really interesting.
Yeah, this connection is always interesting. It's nice sort of expand into different directions.
So you grew up on the island?
I never did, to be honest. So I pretend like I'm from here, but I'm not. But my recollection of Shodoshima is always the summertime. During the summer vacation, I come here to visit my grandparents in summertime with the swimming suit and everything, and then with my cousins, I'll go to the beach and then eat a good, local fish and at the grandparents' house with the whole family gathering.
That's the best.
That's the kind of memory I have.
That's the best here. Very natural life, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah.
For you, like, what is this island about? Like, it connects to this, what we're talking about. Like, for you, what is this island about? When you think about Shodoshima, what comes up to your mind?
Okay, it's a very good question. To be honest, I wasn't so much connected to Shodoshima before. But because I lived overseas for 22 years after the university, I lived in the US for 10 years, and then 11 years in New Zealand, and then also sailing across the Pacific for a little while. So during that time, somehow I guess I start to grow this attachedness to my home country. And even though I didn't grow up here, when I decided to come back to Japan, that's 8 years ago, divorced and then come back with children, my first choice of place to live was Shodoshima. And mainly because I guess that's something I wanted to show my children. I wanted them to grow here, and also partly because I wanted to return something to Shodoshima, small isolated place where all the Asian society is just building up and then all the young people live. But this place has so much to offer, like the places I've seen or I've lived overseas, so much to offer, but being neglected and going downhill, which is a bit sad. So to me, this is a place I want to return what I gathered throughout my life, and hopefully this place become not so much of a flashy international place, but rather have the place with people with good heart, and the people overseas would recognize how good place this is. So that's sort of my life mission.
Absolutely awesome. It totally fits to my vision, doing the stuff I'm doing,
cool.
to bring like a healthy sort of tourism here, which kind of keeps the island alive, but is also like a flowing tourism. Like, it comes and it goes. Also, it's a balanced tourism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a tourism that really appreciates the island and its culture. That's really, I think everyone that has stayed here for longer will fall in love with this island, and then have this kind of vision and wish. Really interesting. Can you tell us a little more about actually the job you do? Like, because I think it's pretty interesting. You do a lot of different stuff, and you're into a lot of cool stuff. So it might be very interesting for the people to know. Yeah, what are you working actually?
Okay, sure. Right. I guess when people ask, I've got too many different jobs, like you said, so it's a bit difficult to explain. So the first thing I usually say is I teach English at the university, because that's simple enough. Everybody knows what it is. So that's sort of my main job. But actually, my sort of heart goes to a couple of other things. One is I work as a guide, English guide. So anybody who comes through as a tourist from overseas, I do guide around here and Satochi, Inland Sea, Kagawa Prefecture area. Also, I try to train people who wants to be a guide, because I think we need more good quality guides who can pass on what we just discussed, the quality of life, be passed on instead of just looking at the surface of the tourism. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do, which is also very important to me, I work here as a Kokusai Koryu advisor, which is like a global international advisor for the township here. And what I do is mainly two parts. One is I try to spread the word to the local people that it is okay. People are the same. People come from overseas. They're the same. We're all human. So if we pick up a little bit of English, we have a great communication going. So that's the first part I did for the last few years. And we're going into the second phase, which is that I try to, now we have so many immigrants coming and working on factories and plants around here. So I want to make sure that the people who are coming and decide to live Japan as their second home, I want this place to be their happy place as well. Just like I've been blessed with New Zealand and America, where I was accepted as I am, and being accepted as an immigrant and have all the rights and everything. And I want to make sure that Japan would be the same. And I thought starting from Shodoshima would be a great start.
It's a beautiful vision that is absolutely shared on my channel, on my YouTube channel. I'm growing since my focus is the community and the connection between the people in the community. So I always try to bring people together, rather having millions of people around me, millions of subscribers. I want to have like a decent, really reliable community. And yeah, I think we get much more out of that instead of having everyone, like, and trying to gather everyone, because we all know, and the truth is, you cannot gather every type of person. Like, we have to make a selection somehow, and I think that's a great vision you have there, and I totally support it. Absolutely.
I'm glad.
No, really,
agree
really.
with me.
I mean,
Great.
this is why we like kind of coming together, right?
Sure.
To kind of push it maybe somehow forward in the same direction. Right?
Yeah.
For the future, we never know.
That sounds good.
Yeah, you were talking about your work on the island, and it would be interesting to know the goals you have, the aims you have. How do you want to achieve it? Like, what specifically is the thing you're doing to achieve this kind of healthy tourism we talked about on the island?
Healthy tourism. Okay, that's another good topic to talk about. I think to bring, see, with the COVID, I think everything sort of, all the norms and then everything was just went downhill, didn't it? Just a down drain. So it's all zero now. And I think from here, well, before COVID, we were lucky that we had so many tourists. I think some people really made, some people are really lucky to be more lucrative with thanks to all the industry and everything going on. Unfortunately, that was going way too fast. It was a little bit too materialistic. But from here, I think to keep Japan going, finance-wise, and mentally, and in a healthy way, I think what we need is a sustainable approach, just like all the rest of everybody's going towards to. So to do that, I think instead of just anything we can make money out of, we jump into it. But instead of doing that, we need to have a good quality standard to appreciate all the nature and history and everything we have in this rich, deep country. So possibly maybe government has to set some good standard to meet the sustainable country. And by following that, we can still welcome good tourists coming into the country and without losing any of the natural beauty and history we have. So the local people living here don't get, negatively affected by the over-tourism. But also we have a long-term tourist coming through into Japan, which I think Japan is desperate need with the economy, how it's going, with the how the population is declining.
So setting a standard for tourism is basically the solution, which is relatively complex, because setting a standard can be different things. Like how do you want to set this standard? Like how do you want to measure the flow of tourism?
It's
like
difficult, isn't it?
Through the ferries coming. Like, do you want to have different opening times? Like, it's so hard, right? It's a hard aim, since you cannot regulate how many people go to restaurants. Like, so. How do you want to do that? Like, what's your idea?
That's a really difficult question. I'm trying to find the answer as well myself. But I think fortunately, we always have countries that we can look up to. Like Europe, Germany, I'm sure, is a great example, setting a good role model for the rest of the country, the world, who is already practicing the sustainable tourism. Switzerland is another good example. So those places how are they doing it? How they keeping the economy going? Yet they're still, they are sort of an ideal tourist destination for everybody who wants it. Everybody wants to go to Switzerland or Germany. So we need to look at those countries and study it and see how much of that we can actually apply to Japan.
That's really cool, like getting inspired by already working systems, right? That's a good way. I never thought about this. Just like not copying, but getting inspired by some already working systems.
We won't be copying everything straight away, because it won't
work. It won't work. I would like to know, like, we already heard some like stuff about your life. It would be kind of interesting to hear a little bit from your yeah, like your way in life. Like, what did you do? Like, where did you come from? Like, kind of, how did stuff happen to you? You mentioned you were sailing around the oceans. Like, of course, we want to know kind of, yeah, how did that happen?
Okay, all right. I went to university up here I was born in Osaka, so in Kobe, Osaka area, I went up to the university. And after that, I went to the US for graduate study. And then that's where I met my ex-husband, the English guy. And when we met in Silicon Valley, I was working there as a IT translator. He said he was going to go sail across the Pacific.
Very simple.
Yeah, simple as that. And he said, would you like to go? And I said, yes.
Nice.
So that's how it happened. So we packed everything and just sold everything we had, and then left San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, and it just went across the Pacific for a year.
Nice.
Just to get out of this. It's a bit like a chaotic lifestyle we have in Western and advanced countries like us in Germany possibly. Then stop and then just think about simple life, and that's what we had for a year.
There's another question that pops up in my mind that people constantly ask me, and I can just answer it with yes. Were you ever scared of what you did? Like the situation, did it ever scare you? Just sailing across the oceans? Like, I don't know, like for normal people it seems pretty crazy. Usually people have a job and then they go there, whatever. But like sailing across the oceans and having a free kind of life seems like a dream and a nightmare kind of. So have you ever been scared about this kind of lifestyle?
Yes, of course, absolutely. I wasn't a born natural sailor at all. I just wanted to tag along and see other countries because traveling is always fun and exciting. But every time people ask me that question, that's the most common question, obviously.
It is.
I always say yes. But every time I said yes, my ex-husband, he always said, but if you think about this 13 months of traveling for 13,000 nautical miles, visiting 13 different countries, I think we had only 24 or even maximum of 48 hours of gale weather, not even storm.
Oh, wow.
So he said, was it that bad?
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe it wasn't that bad. But during that 48 hours, that was scary as hell. But in retrospect, it was well worth going through, and also makes you strong and makes you responsible for everything you do in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was like a wake-up call. Everything, it just completely changed my life. So that was an amazing experience.
Really
So
cool.
I guess as much as it was scary, it was worth it, I suppose.
Absolutely. I totally agree. You want to have coffee?
Sure. Have you got any? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I bought this nice cup for you.
You're well.
And this pretty cool
That's perfect for you.
Disney
Mouse,
Mickey Mouse cup for me and some snacks.
Oh, wow, you're well prepared.
Yeah, of course. And
cool.
the coffee should be still really hot. And it's actually
That's pretty cool.
malt beans coffee. So
Oh, wow, professional.
konnichiwa. It's not like I brought instant coffee. What's your most extreme situation you had while traveling? Is there something particular that comes to your mind? Like, wow, that was pretty crazy.
I can think of a couple of things. On the boat, while sailing, I guess one of the things I can think of is in the middle of the ocean. We had a passage. Normally, we would do this 1 week of sailing in the middle of the ocean. Nothing around us. And then 2 weeks of stopping at the island. And then have a break and buy all the food and then move on. So that's sort of the routine we did across the Pacific. So when we're in the middle of the ocean, you would expect nobody's around, nobody's going to knock on your door. We'll be bored to death usually. I usually play harmonica and then drive everybody on the boat crazy because I'm practicing. So I needed something to practice. But then one day, it was just a sunny, nice day, not a lot of wind, but all of a sudden the boat just changed the direction all of a sudden. And we had no idea what happened. And what it was a huge, like a swordfish, just decided to hit the bottom of the boat.
No, that's horrible.
It was horrible. It would just happen out of the blue, completely knock us off. It's like, I didn't know what happened. But we just saw there's something shiny just underneath. So we're scared to death that he's going to come back and attack us. But fortunately, he just sort of go
Wow.
away. So it was okay, but
That's scary.
little things like that.
Could have been a shark or something.
Yeah,
too, right?
could have been. We thought we might see. We did see a whale a couple of times, just swimming along with us, and we were just praying, like, "Oh, please don't hit us."
Yeah, please just don't play with us. Like,
No, we're not toy.
wow, that's scary. Yeah, swordfish actually it's a strong animal, right?
I guess they are. Yeah, it was a long. I think the swordfish. Our boat was.
Oh, they get long.
Oh yeah, 42-foot boat it was. Ours was. I think it was half of ours, so it was about 8-9 meters of sword.
Yeah,
he
isn't
had.
it the fastest fish in the world?
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
No surprise. He was fast.
And they look just insane beautiful. They have this long shape, and then they have this beautiful fins, blue. But I think they're the fastest fish in the world. Like, I have to lie, but like 100 kilometers an hour or something.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, it was really powerful. It didn't look pretty to us, to our eyes back then, but it was a beautiful fish. Yeah.
Wow, that's scary. So it was a fish ramming the boat. Not expecting that. I mean, I think the most terrible thing that can happen to you on the ocean is if you go off the path. I sometimes heard people get attacked by pirates.
Oh yeah, it does happen.
That's weird. I mean, there's a sailor. He also has a YouTube channel, pretty funny guy. He got attacked by pirates in the fucking 90s or something. And they just started shooting on the boat in the middle of the night. And he shot both of them and kicked them overboard. Like, this kind of stuff you never forget, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you didn't say this kind of stuff. I wouldn't blame you for shooting other people if they shoot you, but like, fish hitting a boat is also pretty cool.
Oh my goodness, wow. Yeah, it does. I mean, on the boat, anything could happen. We could kill each other. But one of the funny things, in my experience, most bizarre experience never occurred to me was that when you go on the boat and when you're about to sail off, of course you get the passport checked and everything. You leave the country. But they do make sure that how many people are on the boat. And when we arrive in a new country, new island, they count how many people were on the boat before when we left, because anything could happen. We could be on the boat, have a fight, and one of them could kick one off, and then we say, right, we're just 3 of us instead of 4. It could happen, and it does happen. I think a lot.
Oh, I think it does happen. Yeah, people just go overboard or kill each other or whatever, and then try to keep it secret.
And it is just madness actually, because there's nothing around on the boat, and 3-4 of us together. The longest passage we had was I think 23-24 days between the Galapagos Islands and the Marquesas Island. It's a huge passage.
That can happen a lot.
And there's nothing around.
Family turns to enemies.
Oh God, it did happen actually.
And then you think about, if I kick him overboard, a shark would eat him. Nobody would find him, you know?
Exactly.
This kind of shit.
That's a sort of, that's exactly what happened.
Oh, that's terrible.
But it does happen. But not on our boat. But we did have almost close problem.
Fight.
We did. Yeah, we did. But it was okay.
It is scary, right? It is scary. Wow. Do you see any disadvantages in tourism in Japan? Like any disadvantages coming through your mind when you think about tourism in Japan?
Disadvantage of Japan. I guess over tourism definitely was one. Just before the corona, we had just too many people. It was just too many. It was out of control, especially places like Kyoto and all these famous places. But here it wasn't as bad. Still, we did have a lot of people. That's definitely one disadvantage. And I guess I have to admit, some people are disrespectful of the culture, but I never had that experience. Most people come to appreciate other cultures, so it didn't happen to me personally, but occasionally people do have no respect, and they come and visit and they buy all the bits and then they just go. I don't think about what sort of footprints they leave behind.
What do you think? How can we regulate this particular thing? Because that was one thing that really kind of hurts me when I see people doing that to Japan. Since I came here 14 years ago the first time, my heart is kind of here in Japan. So it hurts me every time I see people just abusing the country for their purpose, which is okay, but the problem is they destroy stuff. They destroy cultural stuff, and that I'm not coming up with a good solution. My solution would be, for example, in the countries they come from, Or at the moment they enter the country here, there should be more information, more information in various languages, which actually happened a lot now, but a little too late. I think Japan was not prepared at all for the Olympics when it comes to information how to behave in the country, which sounds stupid to tell people how to behave, but we all know people kind of need a guidance from time to time. Since if you don't give them a guidance, they start cleaning their hands with an oren or something. Like, people do that in Kyoto, you know? They start pissing in the gardens or whatever. So I think a big mistake was not giving enough information in the languages people speak. And really giving them a guidance. You're in Japan, be aware that this is totally different from your country. I think that didn't happen. So I'm wondering how to fix this information gap. What do you give people, like TV spots or like paper documents? Like, what do you give them to?
It's tricky. Doesn't mean that everybody reads it, but I think to respect each other's culture is something we need. But just giving the document or literature just before they go on board an airplane doesn't probably help. But I think quite often I've seen, it's only one of the few examples, but I think sometimes you can make it in a comical way to pass on that information. Like, it could be in the airplane, or it could be in the guidebook, or, you know, just
something that stays in your mind in a positive way.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great.
You know, like the Air New Zealand, they always had this funny. Have you seen the like a boarding information?
Actually, it's kind of popular on YouTube.
Yeah, it is.
New Zealand airplane
they do all these
advertisement.
funny things. They do like a naked body paint, but everybody will be watching it because it's such important.
And it stays forever.
Yeah, and people talk about it, and it goes viral. But they pass on such important information. You know, that sort of thing we could do. I think Japan needs a little bit more jokes and relax a little bit to approach things. I mean, you can pass on the very important information, but we can relax a bit, to be honest.
That's a good approach, I think. It seems like a good approach. You're right. Japan might be too majime sometimes, like too serious.
Yeah, we want to make everything serious.
And then what happens is you don't make a move at all. You stuck. I don't want to say you. Japan stucks in regulations, and then they don't find a way to make it 100% in their opinion, and then what happens is they do nothing. And that it's just my opinion after
I agree. I totally agree.
Traveling that long time here. And then
it's a shame, really. We could relax a bit more and approach in a bit different way. It could be just halfway. We're watching this news this morning about Peru's new president, and he was there dancing in the pre-election sort of, you know, like everybody gathering, and he was dancing. It wouldn't happen with Japanese prime minister, we were saying. But, you know, but you draw attention. Definitely, he's getting everybody's attention. So
it's a deep conversation. I might have a different opinion of people leading countries being too relaxed.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Since you know how it works. It's like kids. If you go goofy, they go goofy. If you go more goofy, they go more goofy. So if you want to guide someone, that sometimes means it has to be a little bit strict. I don't know how to explain.
I know what you mean. I mean,
I'm actually really lucky Japan is still a kind of a country that is more like having a distance to a certain kind of fun for everyone. So it is not so easy to live here for some people, especially in the typical circle of working, going home. But therefore, it's a clean country. Clean when it comes to people not behaving, crime, murder, whatever it is. You name it. Like, it's not happening here for the reason that it's a little majime. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So America is the country of the free people, but also a country of crime and murder. So
that's a fair point.
It's a hard balance.
It's a hard one. Yeah, I don't know what's the best approach to it, but we need a different approach. That's for sure. Just everything is just
try and
just everything has to be this way, and it's just the people don't want to change They don't. I think people don't want to take responsibility. Quite often, I think Japan was always, the government says you do this, and then you get this much rice or whatever.
Yeah.
It was always given information or given instructions. And the people, as long as they follow, they were okay. But not anymore in the society right now. So I think people have to be a little bit more creative and outspoken. But quite often people are not used to it, and then people don't want to make a big deal out of things, because if they say stand up and they say it, they'll be put into responsible for what they say, and then they don't want that.
It's not easy, isn't it? But I think as long as we move and not standing still, there will be a change.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see if it's the change we like to have as humans, or we want to have it a different way. So I think the most important thing is still going forward.
Yeah.
Whatever forward means, like.
Yeah, as long as we're moving, I think that's good.
So as a Japanese person living in Japan, what do you not like about living in Japan?
All right, if you got 30 minutes, I can do that. I can tell you all about it.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Is it that much?
I could go more, but no, seriously, it's a great country. Let's put that to start with. But there is always a but. I guess Japan is, we discussed a little bit already. I think Japan needs a bit more, sometimes a fun approach. It's okay to have fun in life. I think Japan has been, I think it's just in nature. I think Japanese people are hardworking, and being hardworking and being serious, have good work ethics and seriousness is always a beauty virtue of this country, which is quite true. And maybe it's coming from samurai spirit, I don't know. But I think young people are showing that we can have fun and still work hard as well. So that part, still, I think Japan is in a sort of, in the process of trying to change. The country is slowly changing. Sometimes I get caught in between, and that's when things are a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Caught in a very, rigid work environment. But I want to bring something fun approach to things, and then they say no, or I get thrown upon. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. So you try to bring something through with a new style, but you get regulated, kind of.
Yeah.
You get chopped off. Like, that's hard.
And because I'm Japanese, truly Japanese, but because I lived overseas for 22 years, so I think mentality-wise, I think I'm a little bit more Western approach. I think I probably have to life, towards life. And with my children, they're half British, half Japanese, and also they're born and raised in New Zealand. So they're sort of a, multicultural nationality they have. So with them, we have a very sort of natural, multinational sort of approach and thinking in the family. But once I step out, when I'm with children, people sort of do their math. They look at my face, they look at my children, they look half British.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
they do the math. It's like, right, she lived
Yeah.
somewhere else. She had a husband from overseas. So they do that bit of math. So if I say something crazy, well, for me it's not crazy, but they think it's crazy, and then they think, that's why. But if I'm on my own, they didn't see my children, or if they didn't know that I lived overseas, they go, huh? She's crazy.
Yeah, why is she crazy?
Yeah.
Very unusual for Japanese. Yeah.
It does happen. So, but I guess that's one of the main things I always struggle with. Just trying to bring something new, or a bit more relaxed, but serious, but a more relaxed approach to things in a more proactive way. That's when I get sort of stopped or rejected quite often.
Which is so hard, since it's part of your work. And part of your goal you want to achieve through your work you do, and then getting chopped off is not only a private thing. It's not only just, I'm not able to do this or that today because they say I can. It's more like you have a life goal kind of you want to achieve, and you get blocked in your creativity, and that hurts. Like, or that it's just annoying. Yeah. I get it.
Quite often in Japan, I think process is very important. I mean, goal is important as well. But I think in Western approach, quite often, I don't want to bias everything.
Yeah.
But it's quite often the goal is it's the main goal. Whereas in Japan, the one step by step is each one. It's so important rather than just look at the goal.
Yeah, it's bringing the package to the post office, and it starts with getting like tons of papers that says like how to send the package. Like kind of in Kyoto it was like that. Yeah, it's not too easy. It has advantages, and it has absolutely disadvantages. Very interesting. Is there something that comes to your mind? You say, like, what do you like the most about living here? Like something that pops up where you say, well, this is something that is unique to Japan. I really love it. I don't want to exchange it for nothing.
I think the most important thing is, safety. No doubt about it.
Like 100% standard answer. Like
I mean, it's
nice.
So cliche, but it's
true.
I think I appreciate far more than before. So and trustworthy. You know, if you send a mail, it gets there. It's a simple thing as that, but it doesn't happen in some other countries.
You can rely on labor work and like on the normal people's work. Like you can just rely on Japanese people giving 100% what they do. I get
Train, come on time. If it says 12 o'clock, it has come on 12 o'clock.
And if not, it has a consequence. Right?
It's funny, but it's just simple as that. But that's so important in life, isn't it? Just the peace, and then the trust, that you can trust what people say. They promise the word and they do it. It's great, actually.
It makes the daily life just easier, right?
I think so. I think it's just less stressful, whereas in some other countries it could be chaotic. My visit to London was like that. It was just chaotic.
What happened? Like something particular? Like
it wasn't anything difficult. I just wanted to buy a travel pass that I could use on tube, on underground. Just buy that, and then it says on the website you can buy it here. But every corner, every information center I go, and you go there. I never heard of it.
It's so annoying.
It just happens in some other countries, and that was just normal back when I lived overseas. But back in Japan now, it's like that never happens. I mean, it does happen occasionally, but it's minimum.
That's interesting, right? It's the daily life kind of stuff. But in Japan, always you hear safety. And for me, it's the same. If someone would ask me, main advantage living in Japan is absolutely being free to put my stuff anytime, anywhere, without considering the camera, without considering being the camera just sneaked away. And I do a lot of shots in Japan where I'm not on the screen. Let's say I put the camera there. I'm not on the screen. I just walk down and then I'm coming in the screen. In Germany somewhere, people would just take this 10 seconds and the camera would be gone, Japan never happens. In Kyoto, I put it in the middle of the street and I'm just gone. And then I come on the screen. Tons of people walking around the camera just wondering, what is this camera about? But no one would touch it, That's Japan, let's be honest.
Yes, welcome to Japan.
Yeah. Another, let's say, 3 questions, okay? Like the good ones, the cool ones. What motivates you in life?
What motivates me in life? It's a very good question. But deep question too, isn't it?
It is hard. It is hard.
It could be anything.
I wouldn't like to be asked, to be honest.
I was going to ask you next. I think everybody has different roles in life, and then because I'm a single mother, definitely children are my motivation of it. That gets me up every morning. But when I think about my children being bilingual, multicultural, I want the community to be very giving and sort of a friendly place to be for them to grow up, and the community meaning where we live, but also where they're from. So they're from New Zealand, but they also have a father from England, and then they have a mother in Japan. So all these, everything is, in my mind, it's all the same community. And then when in a bigger picture, I think the whole world could be anywhere, could be their own community in the future. So as long as my children and their friends and family all around the world in the future, in the next generation and the next, being a great place. That's what gets me going. I really want to do something, leave something behind that my family, my friends, community, and the world would appreciate. Hopefully, I'll make a small step, but hopefully I do something good for them.
I think that's a strong combination of stuff. Like, I think that's a strong motivation. Like, it's not something you easily fall away from. Like, it's a combination of strong things. Like, it's related to own kids and family, but also the world and the change of the world itself. So I think your motivation is a combination of like strong
everything. To me, it's all combined, all together. It's never separating. My work and my kids, they're never separate. Always the same.
Cool answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that leads to kind of the next question.
Okay.
Like, are you happy?
Now I think I can say I am happy. I'm happy being here. Sometimes, of course, there's some low days and good days. But overall, I think when I think about the bigger picture, like I said, I'm in probably one of the safest places in the world. I've got my family. I've got good health, good medical system. Great friends, who seem to be drawn to Japan. Japanese. I've got a lot of great Japanese friends and family. But also, I do, because I lived overseas, I sometimes miss these different perspectives from different countries, and I miss that. So meeting people like you, Matt on Shodoshima Island, or other people who's got totally different perspectives, I love it. And Japan seems to draw those, nice people. So
yeah, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Especially right now. There was a selection, like just the people stayed that have a history with Japan, kind of. I mean, everyone you meet right now, every gaijin you meet right now is rather living here, or I think I belong to a really rare species. I'm a working holidayer that could survive on a visa extension. That's rare. So, I don't know, people like me should have a kind of weird life story. And then I'm 30, so it's like, what's going on in your life? Like, well, what are you doing? You stuck to what happens to you? Like, you know what I mean? So I think the people, like you said, you meet right now, coming to Japan, they have there's a good chance they have a good heart. Kind of.
I like to think so. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just what part of goodness people, we draw out. That's all depends on how we react to each other. It's a chemical reaction thing.
Absolutely it is. Really cool. Yeah. Let's do the last one, okay?
Okay.
Last question, okay? So I think you have a really colorful life story. You have a lot of extreme situations in life, and I think it's always interesting to ask someone like you, do you have any advice, like if you would just have one advice, like an essence that life gave to you, what kind of essence would you give to someone if someone would ask you, do you have one advice, an essence? Like,
okay,
it's hard. I know.
It is hard.
I know.
I'm gonna ask you that question after the video,
and I can't answer it.
I think one of the biggest lessons I had in my life so far, I might have another big one later in my life, but I've been around half a century. I'm 52, so I've been around for a little while, so I've got all ups and downs, but all together in my life, I think one of the biggest things I've learned about human being is that we're all different, yet we're all the same. I wouldn't say exactly the same. We're all different cultures, different background, different thinking. But in the end, at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing. We want the peace, we want the great family, we want friends. We're all the same. And we all look at the one thing, we look at the, pet, we look at the babies, we smile, laugh. You don't need a language. We all love the same thing. So that's something we shouldn't forget, and we should appreciate that difference while we all also enjoy the same, what we have in common. That's one thing if somebody asks me, I think that's the biggest lesson, and I hope a lot of people notice that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nice.
Great.
Super nice.
Thank you very much.
Great.